I went to see Lou and I said, look, we spent a lot of money and effort building a new sky base, which is much bigger than one that we had in the first season. And we've made new uniforms and so forth and so on. I said, you decided to not proceed with the second series. What if I take all the material I've got and I turn it into a new show? He said, great idea, do it. I got a call from Abe Mandel, this guy in America, was a thorn in my flesh. He was able to get round Lou because he was able to say, Lou, the Americans won't understand that. And Lou, the Americans like this. And he said, Gerry, I understand Lou has given you permission to turn this into a new show. I said, that's right. He said, okay, you want my backing? So I said, well, obviously. He said, okay, well, here's the deal. I don't want, in this new series, for you to have one single show that takes place on Earth. So I said, well, why? There was an episode where Straker's kid was killed. It was a wonderful episode. Everybody loved it. I'm telling you, it's not the kind of thing that an American audience want to see. And he said, let me make it simple for you. Unless you do as I say, I'm going to pick up the phone and say to Lou, my recommendation is that you shouldn't go with this. So I said, okay, let me call you back. Anyway, I went to bed that night and thinking. And I got up next morning and I phoned this guy. And I said, look, I've got an idea how to save you. I said, I will shoot every episode on the moon base, okay? They'll all be on the moon. They'll stay on the moon right the way through. He said, that's not good enough. That won't prevent you. I know you, Gerry. That won't prevent you making a show on Earth. Okay, let me call you back. And I suddenly thought, I know what I'll do. So I phoned him and I said, what if I blow the moon out of orbit with everybody on board? He said, okay, you got your show.
Take one.
Good one, Gerry. Moonbase Alpha status report, 1,150 days after leaving Earth's orbit. During the many months of our space journey, we've kept a full record of everything that has happened. That record is now being reviewed. Our computer is assessing what we've learned from the facts, from the past.
Century 21, as it evolved, was no more, basically. So, the merchandiser side had gone, John had gone, just Reg, Gerry and myself, Group 3. Gerry and I went to America. Lou sent us off to Hollywood and said, look, I want you to cast it out there. And I had some ideas. I saw quite a few people that I had ideas. I wanted an offbeat astronaut. I didn't want the usual thing. I wanted someone who didn't get on with his wife, and all the usual things that happen when you're in ordinary life. But I wanted it just to be, but it happens to be space and all the rest of it.
There was a man called Abe Mandel who was the president of the American subsidiary of Lou Grave's distribution company, and he had said, because we always wanted to get on the American network. It's a really big time. And he said, if you can get Martin Landau and Barbara Bain, and at the time they'd just come off Mission Impossible, that will be the golden key to the network.
And the studio said, if you get them, they'll buy it, and this, that, and the other. And I said, Lou, but they're not right. I don't think Martin Landau's right for this.
Abe Mandel met me from New York, and we sat outside the pool in Cabana 9 in this very flash hotel, and we negotiated with Martin Landau and Barbara Bain, showed them a feature film I had made, and they were very keen to do the series. Then their agent stepped in and said, okay guys, if you want these two, you do not talk to them again until you've signed a contract. And so now we were sitting by the pool, scrawling notes, sending it by messenger to the agent, and then the agent was replying, no, they want more money than that, and they want this, and they want that, and want the other. And it was imperative that we got them. And finally, They just wanted one more thing. And I clinched the deal by saying, look, to the agent, in note form, we will give them a Rolls Royce to take them back and forth to the studio. Bang. They accepted, okay? But then they came back again. Just one other point. More money. So Lou had said to us, look, I've gone along with you all this time, but not a penny more. So we were sunk. They were sitting by the pool, and Abe Mandel said to me, Gerry, it's 5 o'clock here, so it's, what of time, 11 o'clock in London. And Lou always goes to bed at 9. We daren't ring him. But how can we let the series go down? And then suddenly he stood up and said, to hell with it. I'm going to ring Lou. And he walked round the pool to, in this particular hotel, they had little villas in the grounds, or bungalows as they call them. And he was in bungalow 1, the best one. So I followed him and I thought, bloody hell, he's really brave, this guy's going to talk to Lou. 11 o'clock at night? Nobody would dare do that. And we got to bungalow 1 and he walked in. It was at the time when you had to dial a number. So he picked up the receiver and he dialed the number. And then I heard it. I thought, God, he's a great guy. And then heard Lou's voice. Hello? He said, Lou, I've got Gerry for you. And he put the receiver in my hand. I thought it was just about the dirtiest trick I've ever known. But good old Lou, he didn't get annoyed with me. And I was able to say, this is positively the last thing. If you let us do this, we've got them. And he said, okay, fine.
What I didn't realise, that we're just going to be such a pain over here. They thought, coming to England, we can tell everyone what to do. And they didn't always have the best taste in the world. They had to have a driver 24 hours a day. All these things, And then Barbara wouldn't go home unless she wouldn't leave Martin behind in case he was flirting with someone. I mean, it was just terrible.
John Koenig.
Commander?
What happened was that Martin Landau presents himself with a Californian tan, which makes him look handsome and tough. And Barbara Bain presents herself as being all pale and interesting.
Dreadful. She was not a hair out of place, She wouldn't move in case she got, oh, God.
So they stand them together for a 2-shot, and you've got one with this dark tan and the other one's white as a sheet. And of course, the film contrast cannot cope with that. And the graders used to ring up and say, we can't do this, We had a wonderful lighting cameraman, but every time there's a 2-shot, he dreaded it because of the problems with lighting. But he made it work somehow.
And I had terrible times with Martin Landau. It'd be 10 o'clock at night and they'd be arguing over one line. Barry Morse. He was a very intelligent man. And he used to despair. So I said, because I would take one lot of script conferences, Gerry would take the other. I mean, Martin's since proved to be a good character actor. But he was never a leading man. He didn't know how to walk. He was flat-footed. He had to be in every scene. He couldn't allow any actor to have any lines. I did a script conference, and we gave Nick Tate a scene that was his. So, Nick, you should do this. Right. The writers did it. It gets on the set. Martin Landau comes to my office and said, Nick Tate's saying my lines. I said, no, he's not. He's saying his own lines. Yes, but I said, you can't be in every scene the whole time, Martin. And he said, oh, well, I'm the leading man. I said, no, you are, but Nick Tate's a good actor, and he's a young, interesting guy, I think it's a change. You can't make all the decisions all the time. No, he wouldn't have it. And then he goes to Gerry, and Gerry says, oh, yeah, well, Martin's got to do it.
I suppose because Martin Landau and Barbara Bain were in it, it attracted all sorts of international stars.
10 take 1, second clapper.
So, would you?
You didn't identify yourself. And sudden appearances make us nervous.
And I've been scanning you for some little time. I didn't turn, and you'll want me to turn and do it again, won't you? I'm sorry. There's no point in going on with it. Be quiet.
I remember going on the set one day, and there was a very, very beautiful girl, and I couldn't help going up to her to say welcome to the show, and when she turned around, it was Joan Collins.
You must understand, Commander Koenig, that apart from this small area, our ship is a wilderness.
We picked up your signal.
That signal was automatically triggered when all but one of our nuclear reactors exploded. It's been transmitting ever since.
Ever since when?
Ever since this disaster occurred, 900 years ago.
Then I got a call from Lou saying, Rye in Rome, I've put some money in, so you're now going to cast some Italians. What? So I got on a plane, the casting director, see all these Italians. Oh, God, no. Finally found one who was very, very good. He'd trained in America, had done theatre. He was Italian. Brought him over with a couple of others that I found over there to do a test. Martin Landau was supposed to test with them. Woody hell. He was sulking the whole time. So the one that I eventually cast came into me and said, I said, look, he's jealous of you. Let me just put it on the line. Don't take any notice of him. Just go ahead and do your scene, because he's going to make it as difficult as possible because he doesn't want any competition. And so we did the tests. We came up with a viewing thing. Martin came in. Didn't really want him, but he came in with Barbara. They came in, the couple, you know, with the casting director. And the guy that was shooting, Lee Katzman III or something ridiculous. He was being one of their directors on Mission Impossible, and he was a real creep. He just said, oh, yes, Marty. No, Marty. Yes, 3 bags full, Marty. He used to come in my office at 5 o'clock and drink all the scotch and everything, because he was used to doing that. And everything they did was wonderful. So I thought, I'm never going to get anything going here properly. And so I sent the tests up to Lou, and he said, what do you think? And I told him Giancarlo Preti was the one, and he said, I agree with you. And Martin Landau went absolutely bananas. We were all sitting in the viewing room, and he suddenly stood up and turned into a monster and started swearing and everything. What do you think you're doing to me? And he went totally mad. And the director he shrunk into his chair. And the casting, Michael Barnes, he looked at me. I said, don't look at me, don't do me. And I let him have his rant and rave. No one spoke up. And I stood up and I said, well, when you can speak in a bit more of a civil tone, I'll discuss it with you. But in the meantime, he's been chosen. So put up with it. And we had a costume fitting with him afterwards, and I cancelled it. I said, no, I can't go in there. He rang at home. He got worried then. Jerry said, you weren't rude to him. I said, oh, yes, I was. I said, I will not going to put up with that from anyone. I said, how dare he talk to me like that? I said, you should be worried that he's spoken to me like that. Yes, but no. I said, no, the more you give in to him, the worse he's going to get. So he rang that night when we were home to speak to me. Gerry took the phone call. I said, no, I can't be bothered tonight. I'm not in the mood to talk to him. He's got to get over that. And I'll see him tomorrow at the costume fitting. Didn't get another peep from him, really. But that's what you had to do all the time. And to me, it was very wearing, you know?
It's here now. In this place. It's waiting to kill again. To kill us all.
Matteo, come with me. Come on.
So in spite of everything, Giancarlo came on the set. Everyone loved him. He did very well. And of course, he wasn't used again, was he? Naturally not.
special effects work on Space 1999 was done by Brian Johnson, another up-and-coming special effects director. And we were shooting here at Pinewood, and he was shooting in Bray. But he did do spectacular work, and again made a huge contribution to the series.
You're back to sci-fi again, and then the art department decided to use formaldehyde on a big set. And I walked in there, I said, oh my God, I said, this is going to kill everyone off.
I want you to join me now in this last experiment.
You better clear the stage, because everyone was like passing out with formaldehyde.
The revered results of 800 years of experimentation.
Revered?
Our honored living dead, yes. Dr. Rowland and his faithful followers never forget their gratitude to these, our friends of bygone days who've given their all for science. We take care of them, feed them, bathe them. They need nothing more. The ultimate welfare, where want is dead.
It's ghastly.
The first series that I produced, we were doomed at the start for that, because we had was it a 5-day week or something, one of those, and we had no power at all. So we had to get special generators in, freezing cold on the stage there. When I look back on all the things that we've done that were such fun and adventurous and interesting, you know, I think that I like working with a group of people. I like working with a team. It's fun. You look forward to going into your studio every day. And if you're not part of a team, you're fighting your own battles. And it got that way, really. And whereas when we had everyone around us and we were all working to the same end, it's not the same. When we're now away from all the stuff we built up. We're away from my group of people that I worked with, you know, the public workshop and the wardrobe and all these people. And now it was just like anything else, really, unfortunately. So I can see how it happened, one way or another. And then, of course, you know, personal things come into it, personal lives, because you're not just totally living for that. So with the disintegration of the company, that would spill over into private life. By this time, my home life was disintegrating, and so I didn't do the second series at all.
I have to say, one of the greatest mistakes of my life to get married on that particular occasion and to that person, and I'm sure that she will say the same about me.
It was over the night of the wrapping party of the first series. That's what it was over. So I didn't do the second series at all. Barry, he left as well. He came in to me when I was leaving, and he said, oh, Sylvia, he said, we used to talk about things and what I was going to do and all the rest of it. He said, I can't go around all the time walking after Martin Landau and Barbara Bain. He said, they're too wooden and everything else. He said, I'm not going to do another series. He didn't.
What do you make of it, Victor?
Not much.
Well, don't forget Lou was beginning to have his own troubles, at ATV. Nothing stays the same. ATV now was being sectioned up.
I was asked by Abe Mandel if we could use an American writer. Long story, but eventually I said, okay. And I met Fred Freiberger, who was a writer on the very first Star Trek. And I took him on, and he arrived in this country with his wife and kids. And he was a very, very nice guy. But he was American. And what I mean by that is we have a different way of thinking. You know, we're separated by a common language, as they say. And he came up with ideas that I didn't really approve of.
Well, Freiberger came in and they just started doing ridiculous things.
That's as much amplification as I can give it.
What about Alan and the others on the surface? Will the sound reach them?
They'll be getting it to their helmet receivers. But it won't be powerful enough if the aliens choose to block it.
You know, whereas the first series, I used to have very good script conferences. So I'd get the writers in, and Martin and Barbara Bain, who insisted on being there anyway. But anyway, I'd have them in, and we'd hammer it out. I say, look, no, that doesn't seem... You've got to be believable, even when you're in an unbelievable situation. So if anything went too haywire, I'd say, no, I don't think that's going to work. But you see, the next series, Freiberger got more and more outrageous. To me, it didn't work.
I like them, Father.
But he was here, quote unquote, to satisfy the American audience, to make it highly saleable in America. And shortly after he arrived, I got on very well with him, and he was a very nice guy. But I said to him that if you're going to try and turn this show into something else in terms of scripting, then I'm going to appoint you as the producer, because it's only fair. If you turn the show round, or at least that's what you think you're going to do, and make it a huge success in America, then you should be the producer. And if you make a balls on it, you will also be the producer. But I still was in command, and we still worked happily together. You know, it was politics that one has to play on a certain occasion. I don't play it too often, but now and again, there was no way out of it.
Woman 9, take one.
Well, now we know the abilities the judges of Luton gave to two of them.
Mm-hmm. The one they gave the strength to tear mountains apart, and the other they made a transport.
Right. 1 second the other side of the river, the next second this side. If he could transport, why didn't he do it again to escape?
Perhaps they're only permitted to use their abilities once.
Could be. Anyway, thanks.
Nothing to thank me for.
Oh.
Thanks.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Got it. Jesus Christ.
And so the second series, I have to say, and underline 3 times, the things I have been told by most people is that they preferred the first series to the second series, but the show didn't get the network. And once again, the Americans misled us.
That was a very difficult time in my life, to be honest, to have to hand over. I didn't have to. I'd left of my own accord, but it was impossible. All that I'd worked for, I had to walk away from. And that was very, very difficult.
Compliments of computer. 2 genuine, 100% imitation coffees.
Thanks, Alice.
You know, Maya, I was just wondering something.
What?
Is there anything else in your Psychon past that we ought to know about?
That's a very highly improper question to ask any lady, Tony.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
You'd better let us take care of your hands.
My place or yours?
How about medical center?
Whatever you say, Doctor.
When Space 1999 finished, the Third World War was breaking out at ATV, and there were people at work undermining Lou. And Lou became, understandably, preoccupied with defending his position. And so Lou didn't give me any shows at that time.
I mean, when you know about how things work in the film world, you're surprised it all worked as well as it did for so many years, but it did. So that was that.